The fake natural epidemic is getting worse. And no, I'm not talking about your gym buddy who is suddenly 30 pounds heavier and turned red because his blood pressure is higher than Greg Doucette's voice. I'm talking about the same old people who have been lying to you for a long time. The fake natural fitness influencers. The guys, or girls, who claim they're all natural, then try to sell you a workout plan, supplement or whatnot, promising those same results. As long as you just want it bad enough. It's just a mindset, bro, you have to live it. Now, fake naturals have been a debate for the last maybe 7 or 8 years at this point. We've had guys like Philion, Kenny KO, even guys like Jesse James West, Connor Sinan, and Seth Ferozi calling out and going over who you could potentially trust in the industry and who's probably lying to you for financial gain. However, the situation doesn't seem to be getting any better, with new controversies dropping seemingly every week at this point, and because the gym community has gotten bombarded with natty or nots for the last couple of years, the expectations of what a true natural lifter is or can be is all over the place. People are calling out real naturals for taking PEDs because they had a pimple on their left shoulder, and at the same time we have people believing that others are natural because of their self-proclaimed insane genetics. Let's make one thing crystal clear. If you're in your late teens or maybe early 20s, you're shredded, massive, dry as a rice cake, and you look like you could step on stage tomorrow, and you're claiming to be natural, either you are 1 in a billion genetically, or you're on the sauce and lying to a bunch of kids to sell supplements, and the latter has been quite prominent in the industry for a long time. We all remember guys like Jeff Seid and the original Natural Aesthetics crew, but right now, the fake natural crisis seems to be getting even worse. Let's define a few things first. A fake natural is somebody who uses performance-enhancing drugs, aka PEDs, but claims to be natural. It's as simple as that. But there are of course levels to this, just like there are levels to being a cutie patootie. Hello. Some fake naturals never outright say, "I'm natural," they just heavily imply it or avoid the topic completely. Some tend to slap natty in their bio and let their fans connect the dots with hopium and delusion, and recently we even had that one Jubilee episode about natural versus enhanced bodybuilders, and some of the naturals were a bit suspect to say the least. Now, this wouldn't be a huge deal if it wasn't for one thing. People who claim to be natural tend to heavily monetize that lie. They usually sell coaching, ebooks, supplement stacks, whatever else, and try to convince young guys that they can get the same results as them without taking anything, when in reality that's more unlikely than the Liver King coming out as trans. And right now, this has reached a whole new level, because not only are the fake naturals more shredded, jacked, and more confident than ever, they are also more subtle. People on PEDs today just look like aesthetics-only natural lifters, just better. And in some cases, it's not even possible to tell them apart. Let's talk about some examples. Hussein Farhat, maybe the biggest fake natty controversy right now because of those videos from Anabolic Stick, which were also being followed up by Greg Doucette and Hussein himself, where some people are saying he faked his blood work or he transformed way too fast for any natural athlete, and that he competed in a natural show because he knew people wouldn't test him. It's a whole different story on its own, and I recommend watching both Hussein's and Anabolic Stick's videos to find out more. A crazy transformation, the guy's shredded out of his mind, drier than Mike Israetel's humor, and he claims to be natural. The internet says otherwise, and the truth is, we'll probably never know for sure. Now, Hussein and I both follow each other on social media, and he's probably not gonna get mad at me for stating my opinion, but based on his gains and how quickly he built his physique, he could be either, though it's most likely that he isn't natural.
Films himself doing the blood work. They asked permission, they said no. They filmed anyway. They knew that if you didn't see him actually do this, that you would say it wasn't him.
But again, if his blood results aren't fake and they come out as natural, then he probably is. Then we have the usual suspects. Alex Eubank, Jeff Seid, David Lay, let's even throw in Mike O'Hearn. These guys have had natty or not debates around them for years, and this guy even became a literal walking meme. But here's the problem. Even if they are or were natural, and I'm not saying they are, Alex is literally open about his PED use, for example, their physiques are now being held as the natural standard. And that can be dangerous, because what happens when you've trained for 3 or 4 years, you've tracked your macros, you slept 8 hours, and you just look sort of normal? That's when most people will start thinking that there's something wrong with you, that you're either training wrong, eating wrong, perhaps you question your genetics and those compliments you get from grandma. You become demotivated, you stop seeing enjoyment from training, and then you might quit completely. Or some people start going down a different route with obsession surrounding their own physique. They start taking PEDs themselves. Maybe they go with poor training advice or nutrition advice because they're desperate for results. Maybe they even become so desperate that they start listening to V-Shred. Now, before you throw your testosterone tub at the wall in despair, relax. There are real naturals out there who have built insane physiques over time, with consistency, discipline, and some ungodly genetics who are still prominent in the gym scene. Let me give out a few names. Lex Little, peak natty potential, crazy strength, a very humble guy. Nathaniel Messiah, one of the strongest guys I've ever seen, super smart and young guy. You have guys like Natural Hypertrophy, who looks like a Greek statue and probably eats like a monk. Same with the guys like Bald Omni-Man and Igor from Vitruvian Physique. Of course, you have Jeff Nippard, Mr. Science. TNF, who is basically a more critical and larger version of Jeff, who also calls out a lot of misinformation about training and nutrition. Josh Brett, one of my favorite creators in the industry, who is super realistic about the journey to a great physique. And he has arguably some of the highest quality content out of any fitness YouTuber. And I'm trying to do the very same thing as these guys are doing, getting big and strong within reason and spreading positivity, but also realistic information about training, nutrition, and what expectations you should have about them, with just a hint of brain rot. These guys all give a great picture of what is realistically possible with smart training, good habits, and years of consistent work. Do they have elite genetics? Abso-fucking-lutely. A lot of these guys are all on the border of what is naturally achievable themselves, which is why many think that they're actually not even natural. But that's part of the point. Even with elite genetics, this stuff takes time. None of these guys gain like 40 pounds of muscle in a year while staying shredded. And most importantly, none of them sell lies, at least to my knowledge. None of them claim to have a secret to unlocking your true potential. They're all about consistency, doing the right things, and learning over time. Now, let's talk about the fallout of the fake natty crisis. Because this isn't just about cloud chasing and Instagram filters posting edgy music in the gooniest lighting known to man. This is about real and potentially lasting damage to people in and outside of the industry. Now, it's one thing for the people outside looking in, but the fake natty epidemic is 1. Ruining natural expectations, 2. Potentially causing body dysmorphia or worsening it for people who already feel bad about themselves, 3. Potentially leading to PED abuse amongst people because they feel worse about their own physique and progress, and 4. Tricking people into buying coaching and supplements from guys who only have one credential: their looks. There are literally teens out there pinning testosterone before they even know how to manage the basics of a diet plan or even their training. Why are they doing that? Because they're chasing physiques that don't exist without drugs. And they don't realize that those drugs come with consequences, or they might realize, but just like with most people, aren't willing to make a healthier change until the side effects become too severe. Just like how most people with obesity aren't willing to lose weight until they receive a serious wake-up call or even a heart attack. But here's a bit of aesthetic nuance that might get some of you guys to write out hate comments, but fake naturals may also prevent steroid use. Now, hear me out. When young guys believe that insane physiques can be achieved naturally, it might actually delay or prevent steroid use completely. They believe in that dream, and for some, that's enough to avoid jumping on gear. This is just my experience, but back when I started training, I thought guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the guys in the Pumping Iron movies were natural, and that I could look like that too, which gave me an insane burst of motivation. And even though I found out later that they weren't natural, that didn't cause me to feel worse about myself. If anything, I was like, oh, those guys aren't natural, then I'm doing way better than I thought. Also, calling people out isn't always helpful. Not everyone needs to be exposed. If somebody isn't selling coaching, pushing supplements, or profiting from a lie, then maybe we don't need to grab those pitchforks. Take Sam Sulek, for example. He's obviously on roids, but do we need to call him out for it if he's not trying to scam people? Sure, he's become famous in big part due to his insane physique, but people watch him once because of the physique, then keep coming back because he's a certified cutie patootie. Guys like that who are open about their use and the potential negative side effects shouldn't be ridiculed in my opinion. Yeah, you can still say steroids are bad and should be avoided at all cost, but you don't need to attack the person for that. But if you're selling a program, taking people's money, if you're coaching teenage boys to unlock their true natural potential while pinning tests in your bathroom, then yeah, you deserve to be called out.
Stop thinking you can do it in 10 minutes! Stop it! Stop being a moron!
Just like how Liver King was called out for selling dumb ideas and supplements while taking a cycle costing more than what 90% of people make. Let me just end on this. The sad truth about PEDs is that most people on gear don't even look that good, and they certainly don't look like fitness models or bodybuilders, because PEDs don't replace hard work, good programming and nutrition, or even your genetics. They just amplify what you're already doing. Yeah, we have studies showing they build muscle even if you sit down, but that's why the average guy on gear looks worse than most high-level naturals. Many are potentially sacrificing their health and their own testosterone production for life just to look natural, and in some countries, taking, buying and selling PEDs is illegal. In my country of Norway, we even have a system in place where people who go to a gym can be randomly drug tested upon speculation, for example. The worst part though is probably the mental drawback, because these guys all eventually come off cycle. Then they lose strength, they lose muscle, and they start to feel bad and regress. A big part of the reason why people train is to feel good about themselves and their accomplishments, but when your accomplishments only come from the use of a needle and are gone almost the second you stop taking stuff, then that can result in some pretty serious depression. You don't want to train anymore because you're just losing muscle anyways. And that's the big difference between a natural lifter who can still make progress after like 10 years and be healthy versus somebody on a hefty cycle who just got those results in a year or two and now either has to take stuff for the next 10 years to maintain that, or they stop and regress for years. And the irony, the real naturals end up becoming much better role models, at least in my opinion, because they show you what's possible without shortcuts. If you stay patient, consistent, and actually learn how to train and eat, I think most of them help us accept that, yeah, progress is slow, but it's still there. And if you don't progress one way, try a different way, have fun, experiment with your training. So yeah, the fake natural crisis is still very real and going strong. It's annoying, it's dishonest, it's hurting people, but it's also revealing a deeper truth that I think is the real root cause to body dysmorphia in the fitness industry. Comparison. You don't need to look like Hussein Farhat to be proud of your progress. You don't need to be Lex Little, David Lade, or even Greg Doucette to enjoy training. You just need to keep showing up and stop chasing everyone else's chemically enhanced potential. But let me know what you guys think down below. When did you realize that most of the industry are on PEDs, and was it a realistic wake-up call, or were you just simply disappointed and wanted to quit because of it? Or do you think people should just stop caring so much about it altogether? And if you want actual help from a real natural with education and a solid back and a slightly aggressive sense of humor, click the link in the description for coaching. And if you want early access to videos and exclusive access to older videos deleted by YouTube, then consider becoming a channel member. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.